Welcome my two-legged and four-legged friends. Today we have a very special recipe, vegetarian. Tofu with a lot of vegetables, cooked in coconut oil with a lot of spices and herbs, and of course, my trusty quinoa, which we're already cooking. Let's go through the ingredients. Everything I use, by the way, is organic. We have the broccoli, coriander, tricolor carrots, celery, coconut oil, zucchini, kale, and red cabbage. So I'm using chicken stock for this recipe, but if you're super vegetarian or vegan, then you can use vegetable stock. Okay? And I'll teach you how to cook for you and your furry friend without the garlic and onion, but still having it on the side so you can add it for your meal afterwards. We have turmeric, which is fantastic for anti-inflammatory. Ginger, we all know how good ginger is for the stomach. This is a nice mix. It's called Zaatar. It's a Middle Eastern spice. I typically put it in almost everything I cook. It has sesame seeds, thyme, and oregano in it. It's very delicious. And we have our oregano as well. Salt and pepper. I dice my tofu. And I do that because it kind of matches the rest of the vegetables, and bite size are better. Now, you know, tofu, which is a soybean, is obviously very controversial. You know, they say soy is not good for you because it does, you know, turn into an estrogen in your body. So you definitely don't want to eat too much of it. If you're in menopause, then it's probably really good for you. But otherwise, too much estrogen in anyone's body is not necessarily what you want, especially for men. But I really, really enjoy tofu. And I know my dog likes it too, so that makes it just fantastic. And you know, when you're a vegetarian, it's very difficult to, you know, create all the different alternatives. So you have to turn to things that do exist. Et voila. Now, if you want, you know, if you think of it in advance, you can marinate this in olive oil or any kind of spice. But because I steam everything, it will actually soak in the flavors and the liquid of what I'm creating now. Let's start cooking. So I'm going to cook the garlic and onions separately. This way we keep the recipe dog friendly. Add a little bit of salt. Perfect. As with all my recipes, I actually add water to everything because it steams the vegetables. Then you don't have to use as much stock because you've already got, you know, everything that's going to give you the flavor within the recipe. So a little bit of water and the coconut oil. Amazing. Out of the vegetables, the longest to cook is the zucchini. So we'll do that right away, followed by the carrots and celery, and then the broccoli goes at the end with the coriander, the cabbage, and the kale. They actually all take just about the same amount of time to cook. So we're going to just let that boil up for a minute just to get those little softies. Then we're going to start adding our salt, and our pepper can go in now as well. Again, to taste, whatever you would like to put in. I actually keep adding salt throughout the recipe, depending on how much vegetable you put in. This is a good base. I'm going to add the tofu. Turn it down. Simmering. That's good. So this tofu now will consume some of the salt, right? It'll soak some of that up, which is great. And by the way, tofu is already, so to speak, cooked. And the ones that I always use are the extra firm or the firm. This way you can cut them easily and they stay in cubes throughout the recipe. And fantastic. I'm just cutting them down a little bit smaller, fitting them nicely into the pot. Oh, perfect. Okay. Now I'm going to start adding the herbs and spices on top of the tofu. So let's do the oregano. Ginger. Now ginger you have to be careful with, not to add too much, especially when it's already powdered. It's very strong. Another great thing to do with ginger is, I don't know if you've ever tried just boiling water and putting ginger and a bit of honey or sugar. Delicious. Great when you have an upset stomach. And the zaatar. Oh, this is looking beautiful. The colors, you know, it's always about the colors. You can't be too stingy with the spices. That's what gives it the flavor. So you don't want to put too much, but definitely enough to make it taste wonderful. Now turmeric I don't add a lot of because it's quite strong. It's a nice color. See, look. Now we can add the carrots and celery and mix that up a little bit. Our garlic's doing nicely. And let that cook for another 5 minutes or so. Oh, this is looking great. I'm on medium heat right now. I'm going to let it stay there for a couple of extra minutes as I mix it all together. Now always remember when you're using your pots and pans to use either a non-melting rubber or a wooden spatula and mixer. Wonderful. Okay, so I'm going to actually cover this so not the so the liquid doesn't evaporate. Let me keep it all in. And let's add our chicken stock. Now you're wondering how to make chicken stock. I definitely don't use any of the cubes that contain monosodium glutamate. You have to be very careful that there's no extra flavor enhancers in it, right? So always read the ingredients of everything that you're using. I actually buy it already in a cardboard carton, organic chicken stock. It's very simple. Or if you wanted to make your own chicken stock, if you're boiling chicken, you can boil the bones down and create that stock from there as well. Yes. And there it shall sit for probably at least at this point 5 to 10 minutes. And we'll keep checking on it. Let's look at our quinoa right now and see how that's doing. Oh, that's fantastic. Now quinoa, you know, it's a perfect balance between water, how much, just like pasta. Well, no, pasta's easy. Rice and quinoa, very similar when you're cooking it, not to add too much water and definitely not too little either. Okay, I can smell that, like my garlic and onions are getting to a place now where they're browning. So I'm gonna just turn that off and let it simmer. Oh, wow, delicious. Oh yes, I'm going to do a little taste test to make sure I have enough spices and the balance is perfect with the salt and everything else. Oh, this is really good. And I would add a little more salt. I'll do it when I'm adding the rest of the vegetables, definitely. So let us add the red cabbage first. Oh, look at the color. This color, oh, cooking with red cabbage, the colors, the carrots, everything is just so yummy looking. Oh, yes. Wonderful. Now, red cabbage, any cabbage, is so good for you. It's an amazing source of fiber, great for the digestive tract, antioxidant as well, and can be eaten either cooked or raw, just like most vegetables. And we're adding the broccoli, and I'm going to add the coriander at the same time now. Now, coriander is just a leafy green. You can add it at the end. You can decide when you'd like to add it. I like to put it in the middle so that it enhances the flavor of the dish. And it might cook because, after all, it's a very thin leaf. However, the end result is very flavorful. I'm going to wait to put the kale just a couple of minutes. Add a little bit more salt. I would think perhaps 1/4 teaspoon. Oh, yeah. I can't wait to eat. Okay, let's cover that up for a couple of minutes. And then finally we'll add the kale at the end. So in the meantime, you can start serving out the quinoa and whatever process. Wash your hands, get ready for dinner. I have to tell you that quinoa with this dish is delicious because you can add it right in to it so that it actually takes the flavor as well. And the substance and the texture of the quinoa is kind of fun because you can taste the little balls, you know. And as far as if you're wondering, can dogs eat tofu? Yes. They can eat tofu and vegetables. I love giving the dog red cabbage raw. So after she eats, let's say, well, anything, any particular dish that she's having for the day, I'll throw down some red cabbage for her and she'll lap it up. So also very good fiber for them. Now I want to tell you that everything that's good for us, in the same way of how we retain the vitamins and everything else, is good for them as well. You know what I mean? So it's very important to have a balanced diet for your animal. This way they get everything that we get. Typically, when you look at vitamin forms, it's tough, you know, because there's a taste to the vitamins. So they don't really like eating their food if it's inside and poured onto it, because it does taste medicinal, you know, and smells it. So in order not to turn them off, I just make sure to feed them, you know, different vegetables and different things that they need to get everything that they require for their healthy selves. Okay, let's add that kale. Oh, oh my God, are you seeing this color? Oh, wow. Okay, mix it all in. This will cook for another 2 minutes until the kale is all soft and ready to eat. And remember too, okay, don't walk away from your food too long when you're cooking it, because you definitely don't want it to overcook. You want the plumpness and the freshness of the vegetable to remain. This way it doesn't lose all of its nutritional properties. Et voilà. Très bien. Yes, baby, yes. This is what I'm talking about. Look how gorgeous that is. I am starving. Mimi, are you ready to eat? and we're ready to eat. If you have enjoyed today's episode and want to learn more, please subscribe to our channel and stay tuned. This is definitely the best one of this recipe yet. And I guess it just means I have to keep cooking for you. I guess she's not hungry. It's okay. They'll eat when they want. And that's another thing too. Don't ever force a dog to eat. They will when they're ready. Look what I made. Yalla, mush. Good girl. That's awesome. Huh? Delicious for the whole family. That's how it should be.